The gym manager arrived fast. Sweatpants tucked into his socks, polo shirt embroidered with the logo slightly wrinkled from the back office rush. His eyes darted between the man, who now stood with arms folded like a scolded child, and Kendra, who had returned to her resting stance by the squat rack, still unmoved. "What's going on here?" the manager asked, trying for neutral, but already bracing for fallout. The man beat her to it. "She's being difficult," he snapped, hogging the rack, refusing to move. "I asked her to share, and she got all." "You put your hands on me," Kendra said, calm and clear. The manager blinked. A beat passed. Then Kendra reached into the side pocket of her gym bag and pulled out her phone. She tapped a few times, then turned the screen to the manager. It wasn't a text, not a call. It was a photo. Military ID. Staff Sergeant Kendra Thomas, United States Marine Corps. 12 years of service. Combat qualified. Honorable discharge. She didn't say a word as he read it, didn't add a speech or a warning. She just let the facts sit there, glowing cold and blue from the screen. The manager straightened slightly. "Ma'am, I apologize. I didn't realize." "You didn't ask," she replied softly, then turned the phone toward the man who had grabbed her. His face twisted, not with understanding, but with confusion. Like the story he'd written in his head, didn't match the one unfolding in front of him. "I was just trying to work out," he said again, but now it sounded flimsy, small. A teenager near the dumbbell rack quietly lifted their phone. A woman near the yoga mats already had hers out. No one was shouting. No one needed to. The lens didn't lie. Kendra met the manager's eyes. "Are your staff trained in de-escalation?" He hesitated. "We're working on implementing that. Start today." The energy in the room had shifted completely. Not chaotic, just clarified. People stood straighter, eyes sharpened, no longer watching drama, now witnessing truth. The man who once barked commands was suddenly quiet. His arms no longer crossed, but tucked awkwardly at his sides. The confidence had drained from his posture. He looked around, expecting someone to back him up. No one moved. Kendra took a slow breath, exhaled once, and set her phone down. She hadn't raised her voice. She hadn't raised a fist, but somehow, the ground had still shifted beneath him, because what he thought was a simple confrontation was now a very public mistake. He started backpedaling fast. The tone changed first. Sharp turned sheepish. Loud turned low. "Look, maybe I overreacted," he muttered, hands open like he was the victim now. "It's just frustrating, you know. The layout here is confusing. Only one rack and no signs about time limits." Kendra didn't flinch. She stood where she was, arms relaxed at her sides, expression unreadable. Her silence said more than anything he could scramble to explain. "I thought she was done," he added, glancing around as if trying to catch an ally in the crowd. "I didn't mean anything by it. Just a misunderstanding," but the room wasn't buying it. A woman near the rowing machines shook her head. "No, you grabbed her." She didn't raise her voice. Someone else said. "You did." "I saw the whole thing," a man added, stepping forward from the cable area. She was mid-set. He interrupted her. The gym manager exhaled slowly, pulled out his tablet, and began tapping through the security feeds. The cameras were subtle, but they were everywhere. Discrete domes in the corners, lenses tucked near the ceiling vents. Every inch of the floor was covered. "Give me a moment," he said quietly, walking toward the office with the tablet in hand. The man tried one more time, desperate now. "She made it a big deal. I was just—" He caught himself, looked at Kendra, saw she wasn't reacting, and that's what shook him most. She wasn't flustered. She wasn't angry. She wasn't even looking at him anymore. She was letting the truth arrive on its own. Another trainer approached. Young, nervous. "Miss Thomas," she said softly, "we're reviewing the footage now. Do you want to file a formal complaint?" Kendra turned to her. "Not yet." Not a no, just not yet. Because this wasn't about punishment. This was about accountability. More gym-goers had started speaking up now, not with shouting, but with certainty. She was respectful the whole time. He was loud from the second he walked in. He didn't even ask her. He just acted like he owned the place. The man stepped back, palms up. Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't realize. You didn't care," someone muttered behind him. And still, Kendra said nothing, because she didn't have to. The reckoning wasn't dramatic. It didn't need yelling or shaming. It unfolded in silence, in the calm words of witnesses, in the slow pull of evidence, in the unraveling of someone who thought strength meant intimidation. But real strength was watching him realize he wrote the wrong story, and now the truth was writing itself. He thought she was just another woman on the squat rack. Too slow, taking up space, easy to intimidate. But when he grabbed her arm and shoved, he didn't know he'd just put hands on a Marine Corps veteran trained in combat, strategy and restraint. This isn't just about a gym fight. It's about identity, control, and what happens when you underestimate the wrong one. The gym was quiet that morning, just the hum of treadmills, the low clang of weights, and music pulsing faintly through the ceiling speakers. Kendra Thomas moved through her final squat set with precision, controlled, focused, her breaths timed, her posture flawless. She didn't wear flashy gear, just a black tank top, navy leggings, and a beat-up pair of lifting shoes that had seen years of discipline. She wasn't in anyone's way. The squat rack was clearly in use. Timer on, chalk on her hands. But that didn't stop him. Are you gonna be done today, or next week? The voice cut through the calm, loud, sharp. Everyone nearby heard it. A man in his early 40s, stocky build, red face already flush with annoyance, stood with arms crossed just a few feet from her rack. His tone wasn't curious. It was confrontational. The kind of entitlement that expected immediate compliance. Kendra racked the bar gently, calmly. She turned her head, but didn't rise. 2 sets left. He scoffed, exaggerated. 2 sets? What, you training for the Olympics? A few chuckles from the stretching area. Not kind ones. Kendra stood now. Not defensive, just present. The rack's timed for 20 minutes. I'm on minute 11. His face twisted, not at her words, but at her composure. She wasn't apologizing, wasn't shrinking, and that was the problem. You people always think the rules don't apply, he muttered, loud enough to carry. The trainer near the kettlebells looked up, then looked away. Kendra's brow didn't move. She reached for her water bottle, took a sip, then turned back to the bar. Unbelievable, the man said, stepping closer. I pay premium to use this place, not wait around while someone plays pretend with real equipment. He was inches from her now. Too close. Intentional. Kendra's voice was calm. Back up, or what? He smirked. You'll report me to the front desk. She didn't respond, just stared at him. Quiet, firm, and that silence, that unwavering calm, rattled him more than a shout would have. He reached out, grabbed her forearm, and the room changed. A medicine ball dropped with a loud thud. A man on a rowing machine sat up. The playlist kept going, but no one heard it now. Kendra didn't jerk back. She didn't flinch. She just looked down at his hand, then up at his face. You really don't want this, she said softly. The trainer finally stepped forward, hesitant. Too late. The man let go, scoffing again, but there was less fire in it now. Whatever, Jim's gone soft anyway. But Kendra didn't move. She stood still as stone, not out of fear, but patience, because she had seen worse. And this was nothing. Not yet. The grip on her arm wasn't hard, but it was deliberate. A message. One that said move without words. One that assumed he could touch her, control her, like she was part of the equipment he felt entitled to use. Kendra didn't pull away. She didn't need to. She just looked down at his hand. Calm. Measured. The silence around them expanded like a ripple in water. The clang of weights, the rhythmic squeak of treadmills, all suddenly background noise. A woman at the stretching mat froze mid-lunge. A man at the smoothie bar, turned straw paused at his lips. People weren't just watching. They were waiting. Kendra lifted her eyes to meet his. No raised voice. No flinch. Just 6 words. Quiet but cutting. You really don't want this. He laughed. But it was the kind of laugh that came too quickly, too forced. You threatening me now, he said, louder than before, hoping the volume would cover the doubt creeping into his spine. Still she didn't move. I'm asking you, Kendra said, voice even, to take your hand off me. He dropped it. Not because he was convinced, but because something in her didn't shift when he touched her. Something unshakable. And it unsettled him. The trainer, mid-20s, new, approached then. Awkwardly. Is everything all right here? Kendra didn't answer. She wasn't the one who needed to. The man scoffed again, stepping back with exaggerated frustration, just trying to work out without someone hogging the gear. But now the tone was off. Defensive, thin. She had the rack booked, the trainer said, not quite making eye contact. "You're out of line, sir." "Out of line," he barked. I barely touched her. Now people were watching openly. Phones weren't out, yet, but the air said any second now. Kendra turned back to the barbell. She wasn't done with her workout. She didn't adjust her pace. She didn't let adrenaline steal her breath. That was the thing about real strength. It doesn't shout. It doesn't flail. It doesn't throw punches when it knows stillness speaks louder. Because Kendra Thomas wasn't just a woman in leggings and sneakers. She was a former Marine Corps staff sergeant, 12 years of service, multiple tours, combat training, disarmament drills, mental conditioning, de-escalation certifications. She could have had him face down in under 5 seconds. But discipline wasn't about showing off what you could do. It was knowing when not to. He didn't know that. Not yet. But he would. By 6:42 p.m., the video had already hit 4 million views, grainy footage, fluorescent lighting, but the story was crystal clear. A man steps too close. A hand reaches out, fingers grip an arm that doesn't flinch. Then, 6 words, soft, steady. "You really don't want this." The clip didn't need commentary. No filters, no background music, just the raw hum of a gym and the quiet power of a woman who refused to shrink. Then came the still shot. Her phone in hand, military ID facing the camera. United States Marine Corps. Name, Kendra Thomas. 12 years of service. Combat certified. That's when it spread like wildfire. Comments exploded. "Protect this woman at all costs." She didn't even raise her voice. Legendary. This is how you hold power, with calm, not chaos. Another man who picked the wrong one. Screenshots popped up on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. News anchors mentioned it by name. Marine veteran calmly de-escalates harassment at local gym. But it wasn't the grab that made people stop scrolling. It was the restraint. The fact that she could have dropped him in seconds, and didn't. That she let him talk, let him unravel, let the whole world see. It was the way she stood still while he spun. The way she didn't need to match his volume to hold the entire room. Gym brands weighed in. Military veterans, women's advocacy groups. Even a few active duty Marines reposted the clip, adding only a salute emoji. By 9:15 p.m., the gym had issued a formal statement. Vague, but pointed. "We are aware of the incident involving a member, and are conducting a full investigation. We do not tolerate harassment or physical contact of any kind." They didn't name her, but they didn't need to. Kendra's silence had already said enough, and as the shares climbed into the millions, something shifted. Something bigger than likes or comments. It was a reckoning, sure, but it was also reverence, for every person who had ever been underestimated, for every quiet voice that carried more weight than a shout. The footage didn't end with her walking out. It ended with her staying, calm, composed, and in control. Because when you've trained for war, when you've earned your scars in silence, you learn the truth. The strongest room in any building is the one you refuse to leave just because someone else got loud. And the world, it heard her. The studio lights were warm, soft, curated to flatter. But Kendra Thomas didn't need lighting to command the room. She sat across from the host of the country's most watched morning show, back straight, hands folded, no entourage, no dramatic music behind her name. Just a crisp navy blouse, small Marine Corps pin on the lapel, and that same quiet presence that had stopped a gym cold. The host leaned in. "Kendra, the footage of you at the gym has gone viral. Over 20 million views. How does it feel?" Kendra didn't blink. Loud. A pause. Loud. Not the noise online, she clarified. The silence before it. The host nodded slowly, sensing the weight behind her words. "I didn't post the video," Kendra continued. "I didn't plan to be a headline. I went to the gym to train, and I was treated like I didn't belong." She didn't look angry, just clear, steady. "This happens more than people realize," she said. "Women, especially black women, are challenged not because of what we do, but because of who people think we aren't." The host's tone softened. "And when you revealed your military credentials, I shouldn't have had to," Kendra said gently. "My service didn't make me valid. My calm did. My presence did. The audience was silent now, listening. I spent 12 years in the Marine Corps, she said. Combat zones, leadership courses, de-escalation training, but nothing prepared me for the everyday moments. When strangers see your skin, your gender, your silence, and mistake them all for weakness. She turned toward the camera. Not harsh, just direct. Respect isn't earned by shouting, she said. It's lost when you assume someone's powerless. Her words landed like stones dropped in still water. No performance, just truth. And you didn't retaliate, the host added. You never struck back. Kendra nodded once. Because control isn't about dominance. It's about discipline. Anyone can react. But if you want to change something, you stand still, let the truth unfold, and you let people see it for what it is. The segment ended with applause, but Kendra didn't smile wide or soak it in. She just nodded, one last time, and thanked the host, not for the spotlight, but for the platform, because she wasn't there to be celebrated. She was there to be clear, and her message wasn't just about that gym. It was about every room she'd ever walked into, where someone decided her presence needed an explanation. Now, she was the one doing the explaining. The apology wasn't buried in fine print. It was posted at the front desk, sent in emails, pinned on every location's social media. Short, clear, public. We failed to protect one of our members from an unacceptable incident rooted in bias and aggression. We are deeply sorry. We have revoked the offending member's access, and effective immediately, we are launching mandatory equity and safety training for all staff and patrons. But it wasn't just words. The walls said it louder. By week's end, a new poster appeared in every facility, from suburban chains to upscale flagship clubs. Bold lettering. No flashy graphics. Just a single sentence and a photo. Strength isn't just physical. It's how you carry your calm in a storm. Beside it, a still image from the security footage. Kendra standing at the squat rack, back straight, gaze steady, the Marine Corps pin visible on her gym bag in the corner of the frame. Not in a combat stance. Not mid-shout. Just still, and stronger than anyone in that room had expected. The rollout wasn't a campaign. It was a correction. Staff meetings now included real scenarios. A new reporting system went live. Quiet whispers turned into policy change. No more just let it go when someone crosses a line. No more silent sidesteps from trainers, unsure what to say. And Kendra, she never asked for any of it. She didn't sue, didn't posture, didn't even name the man. But she showed up for every change meeting the gym invited her to, reviewed training language, consulted on bystander protocols, sat across from executives who thought diversity was a buzzword, and reminded them, it's a responsibility. She became more than a symbol. She became a guide, marine, mentor, protector, not because of how she fought back, but because of how she stood when it mattered most. In one session, a young female trainer raised her hand, voice shaking. What if we're scared to say something? Kendra looked at her, not with judgment, but with something gentler. Then stay close to the person being hurt, she said. Don't look away. Even silent presence can shift the room. And that was the lesson. Not how to shout louder, but how to stand firmer. How to lead when no one expects you to. How to protect dignity, yours and others, without needing to prove a single thing. Because strength had been rewritten. And it looked like her. If this story moved you, share it. Not just for Kendra, but for every person who's ever been underestimated, silenced, or told to shrink. Let this be a reminder. True strength doesn't need volume. It needs presence. Comment your thoughts below. Share this with someone who needs to see what calm power really looks like. And if you're new here, hit subscribe, because these are the stories the world needs more of.